They knew it was coming. Not the collapse, they planned that. What caught them off guard was Donald Trump. In 2016, the system cracked, not just politically but structurally. The illusion of control shattered. The American people, just for a moment, tugged too hard on the strings, and the puppet show fell apart. The ruling class didn't panic because Trump was offensive. They panicked because his victory proved the machine could still be hijacked. The elections weren't fully locked down. The media narratives weren't fully believed. That the internet, still decentralized, could be used to punch through the propaganda. It was a code red moment for the people who really run this place. So what did they do? They hit reset. And everything that's happened since, every crisis, every restriction, every algorithm update, hasn't been chaos. It's been controlled demolition of the old order and the quiet construction of a new one. Trump wasn't supposed to win. Hillary was the continuity candidate. Globalism with a smile. More wars with better branding. But Trump broke through the firewall. He hijacked the narrative. He said the quiet part out loud. That the economy was fake, the wars were rigged, and the media was lying. And worst of all, for them, it worked. The elites suddenly realized that they were behind the curve, and that scared the hell out of them. What followed was not random. It was coordinated, deliberate, fast. Starting in 2017, big tech, the intelligence agencies, and corporate media began merging into a single information control system. They didn't need laws, they just needed new partnerships. Facebook began flagging fake news, but only the kind that questioned establishment narratives. Google rewired its search algorithm to bury dissident voices. YouTube demonetized anyone who stepped outside the Overton window. By 2018, if you were telling the truth, you were already shadow banned. If you were waking people up, you were a threat. And then came the hammer. 2020 wasn't just a public health crisis, it was a systems test. COVID gave the elite class everything they needed: fear, justification, and emergency powers. It allowed lockdowns that killed small businesses and decentralized commerce into corporate hands. Digital ID frameworks seeded through vaccine passports and QR code entry systems, and remote work dependency, breaking people's real-world ties and driving them into digital echo chambers they could control. The 2 weeks to flatten the curve lie bought them 2 years of infrastructure building. Surveillance tech contracts, biometric scanning pilots, contract tracing networks, corporate ESG enforcement under pandemic pretexts. Meanwhile, the Fed was printing money like it was a joke, injecting trillions into zombie banks, hedge funds, and BlackRock, while handing peasants a few $1,000 to shut them up. It wasn't a bailout, it was a setup, because now, as inflation rips through the middle class and small businesses collapse, they can say, see, capitalism failed. But it didn't fail, it was rigged to implode. So they roll out a new system. Let's get this straight. ESG isn't about saving the planet. Censorship isn't about stopping misinformation. Pandemic powers weren't about the health. These are weapons, tools for control, and every crisis gave them an excuse to lock down tighter. After COVID, the machine didn't stop. It sped up. ESG scores began quietly replacing market incentives. If a company didn't support the current thing, they got cut off from capital. Banks started shutting accounts for people with the wrong opinions. News media became indistinguishable from government spokespeople, and tech companies openly began working with federal agencies to monitor domestic threats. And the biggest threat wasn't foreign terror, it was you, the average American, questioning the narrative. This economic crash isn't accidental. They pumped it full of air after 2008. They juiced it in 2020, and now they're letting it burn because they need it to. CBDCs don't work if people have cash. AI systems don't matter if people still think for themselves. And social credit doesn't function without digital dependency. So the goal is simple. Break the old system while the new one gets quietly rolled out. You'll see bank collapses blamed on mismanagement, but actually triggered by engineered liquidity issues. Supply chain breakdowns used to justify nationalizing food logistics. Small businesses buried under compliance rules they can't afford, while megacorps get ESG bailouts. It's all rigged to fail, so the only solution they offer is total control. They needed a crisis to justify the upgrade. They got Trump. They got COVID. Now they've got to collapse. And while you're worrying about rent, food, and gas, they're finishing the trap. So the question is, what does life actually look like once the grid goes live? Because this isn't science fiction anymore. It's here. It's rolling out. And if you don't know how to move inside it, you're already caught. Coming up next, life inside the grid. By 2021, the masks were off. This wasn't just a crisis response anymore. It was a systems upgrade. And we were the test subjects. The architects of this new grid didn't just patch cracks Trump exposed. They rebuilt the walls without doors. What we're living through right now is a soft launch of a fully integrated surveillance and compliance system. The control grid isn't coming. It's here, just not openly distributed yet. Let's walk through the 4 major pieces and how they're being installed while everyone's distracted by the collapse. First, CBDCs, digital currencies, are not like crypto. They're programmable, they're permissioned, and they're fully trackable. They even set expiration dates on them. The stimulus wallet they're promising you in the next crash, that's not help, it's a leash. CBDCs allow them to monitor every transaction you make in real time, set expiration dates on your money, restrict what you can buy based upon social behavior. Buy too much meat, drive too much, post something spicy online, your money slows down or it disappears. This is the end game of the economic collapse: to break the old dollar, introduce the digital leash, and tie your survival to your obedience. And it's already in motion. China has its digital yuan, Europe is piloting the digital euro. The US FedNow system launched in 2023 as a backbone for the digital dollar. The infrastructure is already live. They're just waiting for a reason to flip the switch. You used to have privacy by default. Now you have to opt in to exist. Biometric ID is a passport to the new system. No ID, no access. It starts with convenience. Sign in with your face, faster boarding with fingerprint scan, no cash, no problem, just wave your hand. Then comes enforcement, denied entry for noncompliance, real-time behavior tracking, movement restrictions tied to health, climate, or ideology. This isn't theory, this is already operational. India's Andhar system ties over 1 billion people's access to food, bank accounts, and education to a national biometric ID. The EU is deploying eID under the guise of streamlining commerce. In the USA, the TSA, IRS, and even grocery stores are now piloting facial recognition systems. The passport isn't a card anymore, it's your body. And if your profile says the wrong thing, you're locked out. 3 is AI censorship. AI isn't here to help the way you think it is. It's here to make sure you don't. The next phase of information control is automated narrative enforcement. AI systems already scan your messages, rank your search results, and flag your speech before it even reaches another human. And now they're being trained to preempt dissent. OpenAI, Google, Meta, Amazon, all building models that detect radicalization based upon word choice, flag anti-government sentiment as a public threat, and automatically report users for emerging disinfo patterns. AI gives the ability to scale censorship beyond human moderation. And as the economy collapses, the protest grows, these systems will filter outrage in a real time. And as the economy collapses, the protests will grow. And these systems will filter outrage in real time, scrubbing resistance before it spreads. If you ever wonder why you're not hearing all of these things on the news, this is why. Because, ESG and corporate enforcement is here. Here's the dirty little secret. You don't need laws to control people. You just need the corporations. And Google and Meta are all corporations. Under ESG, environmental, social, and governance, companies are now ideology enforcers. Banks won't lend to businesses that don't follow the narrative. Credit scores are being adjusted based on social behavior. Employers are fired for private beliefs. Insurance rates tied to climate impact or online risk. This is how you roll out social credit in the West without admitting it. The state writes the guidelines, the corporations carry them out, and people have no recourse because it's just business. They don't need jackboots, they just need compliance departments. So now you see it. While you were watching elections, wars, and celebrity trials, they were building the walls around you. Your money, your ID, your access to truth, your ability to work, all digitized, all monitored, all conditional. And once the collapse finishes wiping out what's left of the free market, there's no way back. Unless you understand what's coming next. Because the next phase isn't just digital, it's behavioral. This isn't theory anymore. The control grid isn't just something they're building, it's something you're already living in. Every time you scan a QR code, sign in with your face, use tap to pay, or log into anything with Google, you're feeding it. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to get out. So let's stop pretending. Let's talk about what life actually looks like once this thing goes live. Here's the new normal. No cash. Every transaction is tracked. Every product you buy, every place you go, tied to your digital ID. No privacy, smart homes, smart cars, smart TVs, every device reports back. No off-grid, everything requires logins, updates, accounts. Try buying food without a phone in 2025. No dissent. Say the wrong thing online, your account gets flagged. Your reach drops to zero. Your business disappears, and I'm already starting to deal with this. Let's say you run a small farm stand. You take Venmo. You post on Instagram. You've got a little Shopify page. Suddenly, you share a post criticizing the Fed's CBDC rollout. Boom. Shopify will suspend your store for policy violations. Instagram bans you for economic misinformation. Venmo freezes your funds pending investigation. This is what they really mean by you will own nothing and be happy. Try explaining that to the bank while your mortgage is due. That's life inside the grid. Everything works until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you don't even get a phone call. Just terms of service violation. No appeals, no humans, just access denied. Social credit isn't coming to America, it's already here. It just wears a suit and calls itself a trust score. Want a loan? You're evaluated on ESG alignment. Want to drive for Uber? They screen your political tweets. Want to advertise your product? They demand a brand safety compliance. It doesn't matter if you've never broken a law, if you're ideologically non-compliant, the system freezes you out and you'll never see it happen because the score isn't public, it's algorithmic. Your phone stops working right, your packages get delayed, your accounts get temporarily restricted, and everyone else assumes you did something wrong. That's the genius of it. They don't need secret police. You just need terms and conditions. And you've heard me talk about this, especially when it comes to websites. The real horror isn't loud, it's quiet. It's your friend who used to post about the government who doesn't anymore. It's the small businesses that quietly drops cash payments. It's you editing your own thoughts before you speak because they might be listening. That's how behavioral control works. You stop resisting, not because you were forced, but because it becomes too risky. And once you reach that point, you're not a citizen anymore, you're a user, dependent on systems you don't control, governed by code you can't see, conditioned to obey without even knowing it. And here's the good news though, you're not helpless. You just need to lower your grid imprint without nuking your life. You don't have to be a ghost, but you do have to be intentional. Start with the basics. Use cash where possible. Every cash transaction is a crack in the matrix. Stop linking accounts. Don't log in with Facebook or Google, ever. Use open source tools. Signal for messages, Proton Mail, Brave, Linux if you're serious. Decentralize your income. Don't rely on platform. Build parallel paths, Substack, locals, affiliates, freelance. Then think legal shields. Create an LLC to separate your personal identity from your business life. Study the idea of in persona conjuncta, a Freeman movement term that means living as your legal person while maintaining your human sovereignty. Use corporate structures as a firewall between you and the surveillance stack. And finally, build community. No one escapes this alone. Grow food. Every calorie you produce outside the grid is a middle finger to the system. Teach others. Once people see it, they can't unsee it. Because when the trap closes, most people won't even realize they're walking into one. But you will. And that gives you a fighting chance. The future they've built is efficient, seamless, automated, but it's not human. It's sterile, monitored, and synthetic by design. And now that grid is live, the last thing standing between them and total control is you. But here's a real kicker. This whole system only works if the collapse finishes its job. If people are too broke, too scared, or too distracted, they say no. They told you that the crash was coming. They just didn't tell you they planned it. The supply chains didn't just break, the banks didn't just fail, and the dollar isn't dying because of random global instability. It's dying because it served its purpose, and now it's being taken out, back, and shot. Let's rewind. 2008 was a trial run, a staged collapse, bailouts for Wall Street, foreclosures for Main Street, no reform, no justice, just consolidation. 2020, the reset button, lockdowns, a stimulus, supply disruption, and a historic transfer of wealth from the poor to the ultra-rich. 24-25, the final act, controlled demolition of the dollar, designed to destroy the last vestiges of financial independence. This isn't a crash, it's a currency swap. They're collapsing the old system to justify the new one. Want your money back? Log into your Fed wallet. Verify your identity. Accept the new terms. This is how they make you beg for the change. They're not just trying to fix the economy, they're trying to break it hard enough that no one asks questions when the digital leash rolls out. You'll see food inflation that never comes down, energy blackouts blamed on climate, but caused by engineered grid stress, interest rate whiplash designed to pop asset bubbles and wipe out the middle class. You'll hear about mystery shortages, supply chain instability, and black swan events, but you won't hear the truth. This is scorched earth policy, destroy everything alternative, kill the small businesses, and gut the rural economy. Make sure that when the system arrives, you have no way to say no. It's not the government, it's not the voters, it's the banks and private equity vampires waiting in the wings. BlackRock, Vanguard, JP Morgan, they've already bought the world. Now they're just consolidating. Small farms collapse, corporate ag moves in. Rental defaults spike, BlackRock buys your neighborhood. Local banks fail, CBDC accounts fill the void. And the cherry on top? Climate excuse plus war spending equals never-ending reason to print, surveil, and control, all while the media tells you this is just capitalism doing its job. No, this is managed demolition and it's working. You're not going to beat this with tweets. You need to harden your life for what's coming. Here's how. 1, get out of debt, especially variable rate. Interest rate is the trap door. 2, stack essentials, food, water, solar, batteries, tools. No shame, just prep. 3, secure income outside of the matrix. Freelance, sell physical goods, use multiple payment processors. Convert fiat into barter, skills, or hard assets. Build a legal shield. Use LLCs or trusts to separate identity from activity. Learn about UCC protections and in persona conjuncta from Freeman-style sovereignty tactics. Be smart, not flashy. The goal is invisibility, not attention. And maybe the most important thing is pull your community closer. Trade offline, share resources, run security drills, start a garden group. Because when the crash hits, you'll only be as strong as the people around you. Right now, you're standing at the cliff. You can still move, still prep, still build, still fight back. But once the collapse locks in and the CBDC leash tightens, it's over. There's no more warning, no more vote, no going back. The trap doesn't close with a bang. It closes with an offer you can't refuse. And millions will walk straight into it. But you won't, because now you see it. And if the collapse is the catalyst, then this is the response. You're not here to survive in their system. You're here to outlive it and rebuild something better. But let's be honest, this won't be comfortable. This won't be clean. It won't be on the App Store or Amazon Prime. It's going to be hard. It's going to be real. And for the first time in decades, it might actually be free. Before you can build the outside system, you have to stop thinking like someone who still needs it. Comfort is a trap. Convenience is how they hook you. Safety is a bribe. They offer protection, then become the threat. Compliance is not peace. It's just obedience with a better user experience. If you're waiting for permission, you've already lost. Stop thinking like a consumer. Start thinking like a settler, because that's what you are now. Not just surviving the grid collapse, but founding the next system. And here's what real freedom takes now. Food sovereignty. Grow something, anything, doesn't matter if you're an apartment or acreage. Learn to preserve, trade, barter, and build seed networks. Every calorie you produce is one less they control. Energy independence, such as solar panels, batteries, off-grid systems, wood stoves, gravity-fed water, old-school tech. Redundancy is king. If the grid does, you don't. Okay? Become independent. Skills equals jobs. Think digital mercenary or rural generalist. Get paid in crypto, silver, or barter. Route it through LLCs. Never try to rely on a single platform or paycheck. Community defense and trade. Link with others who see what's coming. Share intel. Start a food co-op. Train together. Secure your perimeter. Parallel economies equals protest signs. We are enacting a new kind of underground. Not just hiding bodies, hiding minds. Encrypted comms, dark web forums, back channel, bartering, and off-grid nodes. Call it the free net. Call it the new Wild West. Call it whatever you want, but understand this. It's already forming quietly everywhere. Makers, homesteaders, coders, pilots, herbalists, roofers, people who refuse the leash. You don't need millions, you need tribes. Distributed, agile, loyal. This is the new militia, but built for minds, skills, and networks. You don't need land, you don't need money, you don't need a bunker in the woods. Here's how you start today. Cut your dependency list in half, then cut it again. Pick one skill per month to master. Fire starting, canning, HTML, doesn't matter, just build. Launch your legal entity, LLC, trust, DAO, whatever keeps your assets mobile and your name out of it. Start your own intelligence network. 3 people, 1 group chat, share everything you learn. Practice digital hygiene, VPN. All devices, backups, treat data like gold. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be moving. In 1776, resistance started with pamphlets, powder, and farms. Today, it starts with podcasts, proxies, and backyard chickens. The founding fathers weren't gods. They were pissed off farmers and printers who said enough. And if they could do it with muskets and broadsides, we can do it with servers and solar panels. The trap is real, the collapse is engineered, the grid is live, but so are you. And that's all you need. So thanks for being here, Rebels. You will see part 5 next week.